Well, good evening. This is Saturday, November 21st, 2020. Hope everybody's had a good day. I want to pay tribute to a friend who, on the 26th anniversary of his death, John R. Mcmahan, he died on this day in 1994. He was 84 years old. John R., as he was often called, was born in Greenville, Texas on the 26th of February, 1910. And um, when I first met him, he was the district manager for the American Automobile Association, the AAA Motor Club. Some of you who are listening might be members of AAA, or you might know somebody who is. They provide a lot of benefits, and the main thing they're noted for is emergency road service. If you're out stranded somewhere, you can call AAA. They can come tow you in, or change a flat, or help you get in your car if you're locked out. There's just a lot of things they do. They also provide uh, travel services. They plan trips, and they do a lot of different things. Um, and but John R. McMahon, I met him in the summer of 1969. I had just graduated from Waco High, and I interviewed for a job as a membership representative from AAA. And I was hired. I had my experience. It wasn't my first experience, but some of my best experience with commission sales. It is not something that I wanted to do my entire life, but it did provide me some valuable experience. And when I first met him, I noticed that he was a Freemason. Was I a Mason at the time? No, I was too young, but I was a DeMolay. And I wanted to be a Mason. I eventually became a Mason. He lived at 2909 North 42nd in Waco. I remember having lunch at his house on one occasion. And then I also remember one time when he was recovering from surgery, I went by to visit him and had prayer with him. He was a deacon at Columbus Avenue Baptist Church in Waco, a very dedicated Christian. And apparently he spent some time in Louisiana and had been a member of Joppy Lodge number 362 in Louisiana. And then after moving to Waco, he affiliated with Waco 92 on October 17th, 1969. He, on November 24th, 1969, he received the 32nd degree of the Waco Scottish Rite Bodies. Later that day, he was initiated in the Karam Shrine Temple. Um, and he later told me that he made Masonic history in Waco. He attended the last meeting of Waco 92 at their old location and the first meeting of Waco 92 at their new location. They've been there for many years now on Cobb's Drive, but 1969 was the year they moved, I believe, from downtown on Washington to the location they've had for many years. I'm proud to be a member of Waco 92. It's the oldest organization of any kind which has had continuous existence in Waco. And um, John R. was, I remember one time, it was on a Saturday, there was another Mason and Shriner who worked for AAA. His name was Sam Henderson. and they were at the time Karam Temple had during the Christmas season rang the bell to raise money for the Salvation Army to buy shoes for underprivileged children. And these two men that I work with had their fezzes on. They were fixing to go out and ring the bell, something I did after I joined. And anyway, John, well, I worked for Waco 92. I worked for AAA. Started there in the summer of 69, and throughout the 69-70 academic year, throughout most of it, when I was attending school at McClennan Community College. Then on March 28, 1970, the same day that my grandmother died, I was involved in an automobile accident in which my car was badly damaged. I was not injured physically, thank God. And since the job I had required me to go out and call on people and make sales pitches, you can't do a job like that without a car. So for a while, I was temporarily unemployed. But eventually, I got my car fixed. Looking back, I can see at that time things were going pretty well. I was master counselor of DMLA, but I was fixing to give that office up. My term was almost up. I had become president of the Baptist Student Union at MCC. I felt like I was pretty important. Well, God showed me I wasn't. On the same day that I lost my grandmother, I had that accident. Eventually, I got my car fixed and I returned to work for AAA. In the fall of 1970, I decided commission sales was not something I wanted to do permanently, but I would like to move into a different field of work, and John was understanding about that. Then I would see him periodically after I left the company. I would come back once in a while and visit my former colleagues. And then in August 21st, 1972, I was initiated into Waco 92, got the entered apprentice degree, and December 19th, I got the fellowcraft degree, and March 20th, 1973, I was raised a master mason. In the fall of 1973, in September 27th through 29th, I received the degrees of the Scottish Rite, and a bus picked us up on the campus, well, the parking lot of the Scottish Rite Temple on Waco Drive, took us to Karam Shrine Temple, where we crossed the desert that night and were made nobles of the Mystic Shrine. And I remember seeing John there during that Scottish Rite reunion and during other Scottish Rite and Shrine events. And eventually, I moved on. I left Waco. We had a little bit of contact by phone during some of those years. And then eventually I moved back to Waco when I started working on my PhD at Baylor. And I remember on one occasion I went to Waco 92 not as a member but as a reporter for the Waco Citizen. And John was there, and I introduced him to my photographer friend Sam Nave, and he held out his hand, he shook his hand and said, "Glad to know you, Sam." And he welcomed me. It was very obvious that even though it had been a number of years, he knew who I was and was very friendly. I heard that in his later years, he got to where he had difficulty functioning, and I don't know if it was Alzheimer's or what, but he couldn't drive anymore, and I heard that his last few years were not that pleasant, but I didn't really have contact with him, and I didn't know about his funeral until it was all over and done with. But a number of people have had positive influences in my life, and one of them was John R. Mcmahan, who died on November 21st, 1994. He was a very fine man. He had retired from AAA, and by the way, I'm still a member of AAA, and not only the Emergency Road Service, but their programs, safe driving, and many other things they emphasize. It's really a fine organization. There's other motor clubs out there as well, and I realize some people get towing and other services through their insurance, which is fine. The Nobody's forced to join anything. Nobody should be forced to join anything. With AAA and with the Masonic Order, you come of your own free will and accord. And if you're not interested, well, that's fine. Nobody makes you join. But these organizations to me are very meaningful and very valuable. And John R. Mcmahan was played a very important role in both organizations, both AAA and the Masonic Order. When I was telling him about my involvement in DMLA, he was very encouraging, and he said that it was certainly an influence for good, and there were so many influences for evil in the world. That was true in 1969, and God knows it's even more true today than it was then. Anyway, Brother John, I really appreciate all you did for me while you were here. Hope to see you someday in the Celestial Lodge above. Have a good evening.